Okay, this is going to be a video about collar piping on pre-war SS infantry uniforms. This in particular is a Weimar Republic type greatcoat. I made this off of a Chinese replica, and boy, whatever they use to dye this thing with, it's toxic. Don't ever get the Chinese black stuff, it's bad. Anyway, put the correct cuff title on here, but anyway, this is about the collar piping stuff. If you notice, these are pre-war collar tabs piped in black and white, not silver and black. Silver and black came in later, right about the time the war started. Same thing with this shoulder board. The shoulder board is white and black, not silver and black. I actually sewed this into the shoulder. As far as the collar tabs go, these are piped with the plain black and white twist. It's just a one cord per each twist, and it matches the thread, of course, on the collar tab. Now you might notice around the collar itself I used a higher quality piping, which is actually a double. A double has two layers per weave there, and I just did a half-assed job. I just sewed it up under the collar just to get it done. I wasn't interested in doing a really high quality job on this since the garment itself is poor quality. Anyhow, my method that I use is I use one black thread per every black segment. So I will sew through and then having it come out under the collar, wrapping back up through to repeat again and again and again and so on. This each collar takes me a couple hours to do usually. Anyway, that's the greatcoat. People I think are probably more interested in the infantry uniforms, the combat stuff anyway. So here is a pre-war or very early, just post-invasion of France, Der Führer infantry tunic. And I decided to do this with the kind of a mix. You know, I got this unit was formed in late 38, I think. It was actually formed after the invasion of Poland, if I remember right. And so they weren't in on the Poland thing. They came after that, but I think they were sent to France. Either they were involved in France or they weren't. Don't take my word for it. Anyway, this I just decided to go with. This would have been a basic, you know, your basic sergeant here, and I went with the second pattern sleeve eagle and just a plain embroidered cuff title. Nothing too crazy special there, but with the piping I used. Of course, the pre-war collar tab with the 3 on it, and I just used the single around the collar tabs, and I did the same exact weave I used for the collar tabs I used for the collar. I thought it would look good to have both of them together. And this one I actually took some time. I did a good job. I Frenched the cord into the seam of the jacket itself and the collar, so it goes in correctly on both sides, and this one came out pretty good. It looks pretty good. I really like the look of the pre-war uniforms. I think they are just really cool. In the Unser Allerbrüderschweigen book, if you can find the picture of the LAH March in there, they have several different varieties of collar tabs, shoulder boards, piping, all different piping, all in one picture together. It's a great picture. This one I decided to do, this would have been like a cadre from LAH switching over to Germania to start another unit. And so I went with a pre-war collar tab with a really fancy stylish number 2 there. And I decided I wanted to do something a little different for this one. I've seen this done in a photo, an actual original photo, a NCO who had not removed his enlisted man's piping. I thought that was the coolest thing. And plus he had late pattern shoulder boards, but I decided to go with second pattern. This came just before the narrower ones like you just saw on the Der Führer tunic. But these were a little larger and a little stiffer and a little more dressy looking. They're not the coffin cut shaped ones. Those were the first pattern ones, but which I think I might have seen used for Germania and Deutschland, but they went with the rounded edge, you know, pretty quick after that. They weren't around long. So I decided to go with the simple weave on the shoulder boards, and then when it comes to the collar, I did the same thing. Frenched it into the corner seam, worked my way all the way around, and with this one I went with the dual weave, higher quality enlisted man's piping. This one turned out a beauty. But the collar tabs themselves, I know my thing is having trouble focusing here, but it is a dual weave, but it's a smaller millimeter production version. It's not the size of the collar. It's actually smaller. It may look the same, but this stuff is actually on the collar tabs themselves is actually smaller than the stuff going around the edge of the collar. So this is just something to show people that, you know, they had all different varieties of quality, sizing, and you know, it was a lot of stuff you could have done to your uniform, especially in the pre-war days, that were not done after 1939. And I also used a first pattern sleeve eagle for this one. I thought that would have been pretty cool, do an early one, and just a standard cuff title. But of course it has the Army and the World War I type wound badge that's been modified with the swastika for World War II, but it has the World War I helmet, and of course, you know, second Iron Cross second class pre-war issue from Spanish American service through the Army. So anyway, hope this has helped people at least understand a little bit more about collar piping. It's not a very well-known subject, and I don't know, maybe this will help somebody out there.